A lot of you know that I'm from New York, and New York City is one of, if not the best city in the US. But when I was applying for college, I realized that unfortunately, New York City comes with a lot of distractions. And while I love these distractions and moments of chaos, it's probably not the best for my ADHD, especially when I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars a semester to study and get good grades. So I decided I needed to find a different form of chaos, one that I believed to be more organized. So I ended up finding myself in the middle of Pennsylvania at Now, State College gets a lot of praise from the urbanist community.
It's just very good on all measures, and it's State College, home of Pennsylvania State University. Here are some numbers. At almost 9,000 people per square mile, it has a higher population density than Seattle. I mean, it's not Hoboken level density, but this is a self-contained university.
And while they're not wrong, there's definitely a lot of issues. Today, we're going to be talking about
CATA will reduce the frequency of its services. Adjusted timetables will be available as they are finalized on CATA's website. A representative for the company says, quote, similar to many businesses locally and across the country, we are experiencing unprecedented staffing shortages, end quote.
They're always late. I think that they're always late and they're not really spread out. So you're always having to wait long periods of time for your bus.
5 minutes. Got this bus got me fucked up.
Please exit through the rear door.
As always, thanks to my patrons. Your donations make this content possible. CATA is an independent transit authority that serves a small area called the Center Region. It was created by 5 different municipalities in 1972. First starting as CAT for Center Area Transit, and then later in 1974 being changed to CATA, the Center Area Transit Authority. By the end of the first year, CATA had an annual ridership of 201,000 passengers. And this was pretty impressive considering that according to the US Census at the time, State College only had a population of 33,700 people. But it doesn't stop there. By 1990, the annual ridership had hit 2 million. Mind you, the population was still only 39,000. In 1993, the CATA board made a decision that would shape CATA forever. They decided to start running buses using compressed natural gas, also known as CNG. With this decision, CATA started the Clean Natural Gas Program in partnership with Columbia Gas of Pennsylvania, where the buses use clean burning compressed natural gas that's less harmful to the environment. This fuel conversion was actually pretty easy considering that CATA operates its routes close to where the natural gas is produced. In 1996, CATA introduced their first fleet of natural gas buses built by Orion Bus Industries, with a delivery of 16 Orion 5s. From 1997 to 2002, CATA began to expand its facility due to the addition of more natural gas buses. These were 18 C40LFs and 24 C35LFs, manufactured by New Flyer. 10 of those C35LFs were donated from Orlando, Florida's Central Florida Regional Transportation Authority. This allowed CATA to phase out the remaining GMC diesel-powered buses. By 2005, the Clean Natural Gas Program was completed, making it the first agency on the East Coast to have its facility converted to hold 100% natural gas buses. Now, all of these buses have been replaced by Gillig low floors and New Flyer XM40s. Since all these new buses are 40-foot buses, they add a lot of capacity over the former 35-foot C35LFs. And I'm not gonna lie, these are probably the best looking New Flyer and Gillig buses I've ever seen. They don't have that bulky weather stripping around the windows that you see in New York or Seattle, which make them look a lot sleeker in my opinion. To add even more capacity, CATA purchased New Flyer XM60s. And yes, you heard that right, CATA Bus operates articulated buses. Now, why does CATA need such an impressive fleet for a town of only 40,000 people? Well, it's because the annual ridership reached 5 million. Well, if CATA's so impressive, what's the issue? Right. When you look at the stats and the feats, it's like, damn, how does a population of 40,000 equal 5 million riders annually? Well, let's just say having a university with a student population of around 50,000 helps a lot. In the 1970s, Penn State University Park only had a total enrollment of 26,000 students, so the student population basically doubled. But that still doesn't explain the annual ridership jumping from 201,000 to 5 million. Except it kind of does. The problem with an isolated town that has a larger student population than its own population is the fact that the road and parking infrastructure isn't set up for the insane capacity that would be necessary for only half the year. In fact, Penn State restricts first-year students from having cars on campus due to limited parking spaces, and because first-year students are required to live on campus in dorms, so you end up with an extremely transit-dependent portion of the population within the town. Also, in the fall of 1999, CATA and Penn State came up with an agreement in which CATA would take over all bus transportation on campus, also making these routes fare-free. 4 routes were created as a part of the agreement: the blue and white loops, in conjunction with the school's colors, and the green and red links, the latter of which is no longer in service. These routes still count towards CATA's annual ridership, and the fact that fares are essentially built into the student tuition, everyone makes use of them. Penn State also had a deal with CATA where the university staff could get free passes for routes outside of campus, but for some reason that ended. Now, Penn State has been going through an extreme housing shortage, and that has transferred onto State College itself. And listen, finding affordable housing in State College is damn near impossible. I mean, I shouldn't be paying Brooklyn rent for a town that's dormant for half the year. Majority of the affordable housing is on the outskirts of the town, meaning a large population of students have to commute to school. Bus passes for specific routes that link apartment complexes to campus and downtown are either built into the rent or purchased as an extra fee. CATA makes the majority of its revenue from these deals with apartment complexes and the deal with the university. My point in saying all this is to prove that this ridership is real, and it leads to a major problem.
All the campus buses get filled pretty much at the first 2 stops, and then it's just trying to squeeze in.
So it gets so crowded. It's like the main thing.
I have no clue who these 2 people are. The first time I seen them, and this was also the last time I seen them. The fact that you think they're gonna see this video? If you are seeing this video, thanks for randomly letting me interview you. But yeah, the fact that I asked 2 people the same question, what is your main issue with CATA, and they both came up with the same issue of the buses being overcrowded. This is yeah, I'm from the largest, densest city in the US, and I have never seen overcrowding like this. CAP! Well, that's a lie, I have. But overcrowding hits different when you know the wait for the next bus is 30 minutes or even 50. Like, listen bro, I cannot miss this bus. Please move in a little. I'm about to miss my whole class if I'm not on this bus. And I know I could just bike or scooter to campus, but like, State College has no bike lanes, gang. Like, for a town that urbanists praise, I have never, ever seen a bike lane here. Like, the concept just doesn't exist. You know what else doesn't exist sometimes? Sidewalks. I tried to go to the movies and the bus left me off in sketchy tall grass. Like it was literally just a bus sign and some tall grass on the side of the road. Here, as you can see, there's no sidewalk, right outside of a bike repair shop. Dog, I'm not biking. I'll just have to wait the 50 minutes. Oh yeah, and I forgot to explain why the bus frequency is 50 minutes occasionally. This leads to my next issue. Have you ever checked the transit tracking app to see all the vehicles on your route are in one spot? This is called bus bunching. Now, this is a pretty common phenomenon with transit agencies that see frequent service disruptions. Essentially, bus bunching happens when buses scheduled to be evenly spaced apart end up closer together than intended. A large reason outside of traffic congestion for bus bunching is overcrowding. Overcrowding causes increased boarding times, causing a ripple effect that each stop gets more crowded and passengers struggle to get on. The spacing between the crowded bus and the bus before it gets further and further apart, as the spacing between the crowded bus and the bus behind it get closer and closer together, eventually forming a bunch. In this case, the distance between the crowded bus and the bus before it got so far apart that the bus before it became the bus behind it. Truly some D1 level bus bunching. CATA's overcrowding is the most common reason for bus bunching, which sends the bus system into a downward spiral that resets each peak traveling interval every single weekday. The second reason for bus bunching is traffic, specifically around the Petit Transit Center, which, despite its name, is just two bus bays on opposite sides of the street with covered seating. And this is where the problem starts. The bus bays simply don't have enough capacity for buses coming into campus, leading to traffic that the buses themselves are creating. I've waited on buses for 5 to 10 minutes just to get into one of those bus bays. What also doesn't help is the fact that there aren't any traffic lights for students crossing the street going to classes. So between classes, you get this constant stream of students crossing the street, blocking the traffic, and then when the overcrowded buses stuck in traffic get to a bus bay, all the passengers from that bus just add to the constant stream of pedestrians. So all the buses get caught up at the campus, creating bunching and perpetuating the overcrowding. It's literally a spiral. Now you may be asking, why not just put more buses on the routes to reduce the overcrowding? You see, CATA is going through a pretty large operator shortage. Now this is a problem that is present all across the US as there are not enough CDL holding drivers available, whether it be in the trucking industry or the bus industry. This is made worse by the extremely high demand for public transportation during half the year and a lack of population to handle such infrequent demand. And it's not like CATA's not doing anything about this. CATA frequently puts out advertisements on their buses encouraging people to become bus operators. One time I was walking home and I saw a bus advertising the position on its LED display. Now, I have never seen a transit agency do this before. It was like, now hiring bus operators for $25-$30 an hour. And hey, look, I respect it. You gotta do what you gotta do. Cause CATA has the buses, just not the employees. So I'm happy that they're using any method they can to advertise. But let me tell you something.
I think this is this guy's first day on the job. I don't think he knew which way to go.
One time I saw a CATA bus going down a hill and rear-ending an SUV at a stoplight. The damage wasn't crazy, but insurance information definitely had to be shared. Also, CATA bus operators for some reason can't help but smack the curb half the time, and I have no clue why. I'll be like, damn, and the bus operator will just look at me like, I might swerve in that corner, and some of the CATA bus operators are Jeff Gordon with it, and I say that as a compliment. Hey, you might be going 15 over the limit, but I got places to be, and so do you. I appreciate it. Let me finish this off by saying that from my experience, CATA bus operators are really nice. So that's a plus.
And I know it sounds like I'm just glazing them,
but it's because I'm more used to this. Anyways, what can be done? Not with the last clip. Clearly the other operator could have just gave him more room to turn. But what could be done with CATA? First off, and this has nothing to do with CATA, but tell the town to put some bike lanes down. Damn. And more sidewalks. If we're not going to build more affordable housing in downtown and forcing students to commute, then at least make the commute more enjoyable and less deadly. Like, I should not have to literally dodge chargers going to class. And I shouldn't have to dodge bikes and scooters on the sidewalks either. Second, give buses signal priority. It's the easier fix to the bus bunching problem and it would slightly limit overcrowding. Third, if there are 3 buses back to back, and these are the only 3 buses on the route for some reason, one of those buses gotta be nearly empty. Just have one of the other 2 buses take the passengers from that bus and have that empty bus deadhead to a more convenient spot to maintain the original headway. I get that buses will skip stops if nobody's at it and nobody's getting off, but this is a guaranteed way for the bus to get ahead, especially with the loop routes where there are limited passing opportunities. Fourth, we gotta introduce all-door boarding, man. Like, I understand that we're only using the front door for boarding to help drivers count the riders for an accurate ridership count, but it takes so long. Like, imagine an overcrowded 60-foot bus with 3 doors, but we can only enter through one of them. At that point, what is counting gonna do? It's like, looking at these stats, I think our buses are overcrowded. Yeah, but why did I have to be 30 minutes late to class for you to figure out the obvious? Plus, on the campus loop routes, sometimes the bus drivers take bathroom breaks, with the door open for people to walk in, which is okay because yeah, the route is free, but you're not counting anyways. So get rid of that rule and speed up the boarding process. To me, these are all easy to low diff solutions, but if you really want to fix the system, make bus operator salaries more competitive. That way potential operators come to the town rather than going to a big city. Or add actual traffic enforced bus lanes so that buses can move faster in downtown and reduce bus bunching. This will also reduce the amount of bus operators needed as travel times decrease. Building an actual transit center downtown would help too. Maybe Penn State can donate some of the land that they're tearing down downtown. Of course, all of this would need a larger operating budget, so just do the other suggestions first. If all else fails, I guess we'll just have to wait for AI to replace us. I don't know. With that being said, if I earned your like and subscription, I love you, and if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching.
Doors open.